5 landing spots for Julian Sayin. And I'm gonna tread water for a second here because I'm curious to hear Craig on all these, and he is that's a very short break we run, so he is still in the facility. But UPN, United Private Networks, they supercharge our show with their internet, and I missed talking about them yesterday, so I did want to talk about them now. Look, if you are in the market for high-speed internet, you need to consider Unite Private Networks. You need to call them. Go to uniteprivatenetworks.com. They are the place to be. Believe me, you've seen how we've performed since we've switched over to them in June. They're the best thing that's ever happened to this show. Unite Private Networks. Go online at uniteprivatenetworks.com. All right, well, I'm just going to start then. Top 5 landing spots for Julian Sayin. They call him now a 5-star plus recruit, Smokey. I don't know what that means.
5-star plus.
So it's not 6 stars.
What would Todd Marinovich have been back on the cover of SI, since that makes sense today with what's going on?
Yeah, he might have been the 5-star plus. So, but number 5 as far as landing spots go for Julian Sayin.
That's one of the schools I saw. Yeah,
Miami. Look, they don't have a blue chip quarterback recruit in their class. They've got one. They've got a quarterback recruit, but it's not Julian Sayin. And now with Cam Ward, they have that situation where they might have turned the corner that they've been looking for and be able to get somebody like Julian Sayin in there. I would not be surprised to see Mario Cristobal and staff get involved in this. They recruited him heavy before. He's made comments about them. He liked that Mario Cristobal comes off the Saban tree. So that is a place, although I will put them at 5 just because, again,
so they get Cam Ward, and they're still looking for of course, this would be for their future.
Cam Ward is one season fix to try to get them, jump started a little bit because that's where they are. But Miami would be an interesting spot and a place now that I think can swim in the water and try to get a kid like Julian Sayin, whether they get him or not. It's not out of the realm of the possibility they could be back there offering him. Especially, Jaden Rashada was committed there too last year as well. So they've gotten close on a couple guys. Number 4. Georgia. This one is less likely than it would have been had he committed there initially, but he didn't commit there. Raiola did. Then Raiola went to Nebraska. They have another guy that's in there that they really like. But if they like Julian Sayin more, then they'll just bring him in and to see what happens after the spring or in the spring. So we'll see. But Georgia, you have to put them in for every blue chip prospect. You have to put them in the mix for sure.
Yeah, they're in the market constantly, it seems like. So, the Georgia makes sense to be a landing spot for, a very talented player that obviously everybody in the country wanted. Yeah,
and Carson Beck is going to be gone after this year, more than likely to the NFL. So if that's the case, then they're going to have a wide-open competition for 2025, and that would make sense for him. Number 3, LSU. They were in it for him before, and now Mike Denbrock is gone, and we don't know who the offensive coordinator is going to be. But I would think at this point that this is a Brian Kelly recruitment straight up and down, that you're going to try to get Julian Sayin on your own if you want him. And this would kind of fit like Garrett Nussmeier's a junior?
He's got 2 years of eligibility.
He's got 2 years of eligibility, but I don't think that stops you from going and getting a Julian Sayin if you can, because he could be a program changer and that next step, to them competing and maybe winning the SEC and getting the playoff.
I think he would work. It's just a matter of you got the number 1 quarterback for the 2025 class. You got a guy that's coming in from Florida this year that was in the Elite 11, and you have A.J. Swan there. I don't know how A.J. Swan's going to work out being the transfer from Vanderbilt, but it could work. You definitely need to add depth, and I wouldn't mind having him on the roster.
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't, Garrett.
So how many of the guys LSU has now,
so right now,
Sayin or not, will probably transfer anyway?
Right now, I believe that you have 3. Because you have A.J. Swan, you have Garrett Nussmeier, and you have a freshman on there, and then you have the 2024 guy coming in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 2, Notre Dame. This is one that a little bit out of left field, but given the fact that they have been kind of going through, they went to Sam Hartman, now they're going to be Riley Leonard. This is a shot for Marcus Freeman to get a quarterback in there to let him stay for a couple years and develop and lead them through the next generation of Notre Dame football. I put them higher up just because if you're looking at a place where, again, he was willing to sit behind Jalen Milroe, if you're going to go sit for a year, you're going to sit for a year behind Riley Leonard, and then you're going to be the starter at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman, really, as a coach, I think on the rise. They've got Mike Denbrock there, who recruited him at LSU. So now that Mike Denbrock's back, you look at those connections. I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility for Notre Dame.
This guy, I'm watching highlights of him. Yeah, obviously, he's like you said, he's a 5-star plus. He's very active, mobile too. He's got great pocket presence.
Yeah.
Finds time. He's great gun. I never had really watched highlights of him before.
Yeah. Number 1, USC. He is from Southern California. The best quarterback coach in the country, even still, despite the fact that they were 7-5 and not as good as they wanted to be. That wasn't because of the quarterback coaching, is Lincoln Riley. So it would not shock me to see USC get involved in the mix here. They've got Miller Moss and Jordan Maava there competing for the job this spring, but that's not to say that Julian Sayin couldn't come in there and, again, maybe not even start year one, but he was willing to sit for a year somewhere. So maybe back home at USC, and they were a little lower down the list for him before because they had Malachi Nelson, just like Texas would have been down the list because they had Arch Manning. But now Malachi Nelson's at Boise State, so the situation has changed.
Wouldn't you like to see someone like Lincoln Riley have to play a season, not because of an injury, because you don't want just go coach a year without having an elite quarterback?
And that might be next year. That might be. I mean, maybe Miller Ross is, and we just don't know it. I mean,
he looked pretty good when I saw him.
He looked really good in the bowl game. He threw 6 touchdown passes, but maybe he's not going to have the first pick in the draft for the first time ever, and we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how he develops a guy like that.
Yeah, USC seems to be like the I guess top 5 type of team odds-wise. There's already odds out, imagine that, on where he eventually lands. But USC is in that top 5, and I know that they've got the 5-star in Julian Lewis, who reclassified but is now taking all of these visits to various schools. I know he's got one with Colorado coming up, and he's got some SEC schools he's going to go and visit as well. So not knowing a ton about his recruitment, but having seen that, seems like he's on the market, obviously. And so, yeah, if you're USC, that you might like your young guy, but he might not be in the cards. I don't know. But obviously Sayin is a big-time prospect. So, I think that the whole what class he's in and what grade, I mean, you're just trying to find a guy. And if he's the guy, he's the guy over, whoever it might be, including your star high school quarterback commit. So, yeah, the Trojans would make a ton of sense and obviously would be appealing for most any quarterback out there because of the guy there at head coach. So, yeah, could definitely see the Trojans.
Justin.